Hi, I'm Travis from Builds with Travis, and I'm here with another short Lego devotional. If you have your Bible with you, and I hope that you do, turn over to 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. This verse, like many in the New Testament, remind us that as Christians, we live differently than those in the world. We behave and act differently, we speak differently, and ultimately, we try to live lives that ultimately point back to who we serve and who we love, our Creator. Here in 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9, it says, "But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for God's own possession, so that you may proclaim the excellencies of Him who has called you out of darkness and into His marvelous light." Back when I was younger, I heard this verse often read from the Old King James Version of the Bible. And in the Old King James, it reads a little differently than most of our modern translations. It says in that verse, in 1 Peter 2, verse 9, that you are a peculiar people. None of the modern translations use that word peculiar anymore because it meant something different in the Old King James than it does now. Now, when you think of peculiar, you kind of think of different or odd or strange. But when the Old King James was translated during that time, peculiar meant that it was owned by someone. It was someone's possession. And that's really what here in the American Standard is trying to say. You are God's own possession. You are His. You are a peculiar people. But continuing to think about that word and how we're supposed to live as Christians, we really are a peculiar people in the sense of the word now. We are maybe seen as strange or different or odd because we live in such a different way than the world lives. We react differently. We speak differently. And so in a way, it's kind of like being a unicorn in a world full of hot dogs. But let me show you what I mean by that. Take a look at this.
In a world full of hot dogs, where everyone looks and acts like a hot dog, be a unicorn, because they're peculiar. They're different. They're actually majestic. But they also realize that they belong to someone, and that someone is God. And when you belong to God, you are truly going to live a peculiar life, because when you know whose you are, you speak differently, act differently, behave differently, react differently, and treat others differently than anyone in the world. You truly live a different life, a Christian life, which is marvelous and far better than any kind of life you could live in the world. Always remember whose you are, and because of whose you are, remember that you live a peculiar life because of it. Have a great day and keep building.